but obviously it is an appalling, sickening terrorist attack. It appears that the target may well have been a Jewish Hanukkah New Year party. I know that hasn't been completely confirmed, but it does seem very possible or even likely that is the case. And if the motivation was an anti-Semitic terrorist attack, that clearly makes it all the more appalling.
You, in your first answer there, have mentioned the Jewish element to this. Your party leader has mentioned the Jewish element to this, that this was the first day of Hanukkah. Nowhere in Keir Starmer's statement has he mentioned Jewish people or the fact that Jewish people are specifically targeted. Should he have?
Yes, I think he should. There was a Hanukkah party going on at the time. We have seen anti-Semitic violence in this country. We saw those appalling attacks and murders at the Heaton Park Synagogue in Manchester just a few weeks ago. So we have seen the Jewish community being targeted in this way. Look, I mean, we don't know for sure that this was deliberately targeted at the Hanukkah party, but it seems very likely, and I think the Prime Minister should have acknowledged that, yes.
What can we do as the UK to support our Australian friends and neighbours, and particularly the Jewish community here at home, many of whom will be seeking reassurance from those in power, people like yourself as well, who will be seeking reassurance as they celebrate the first day of Hanukkah today?
Well, I think firstly, as far as Australia is concerned, we should give the Australian government and law enforcement agencies whatever assistance and support they require. You know, that might include potentially intelligence support. Whatever it is they need, we should provide. As far as the UK is concerned, I think we need to redouble our efforts to fight the scourge of anti-Semitism, which has been growing sadly in the last year or two. We need to help protect the Jewish community. We need to fight anti-Semitic comments wherever they are found, and we need to confront extremism. Look, I think doing things like calling for jihad and intifada, which we have heard on the streets of London, not far from where I'm now standing, over the last couple of years, I think that is unacceptable. I think calling for jihad and intifada is a call for violence, and in my view it's not acceptable. We need to have zero tolerance for any call for violence and any sort of extremism. And I would go further and say this: if there is a person who is not a British citizen, foreign citizen, who expresses racial or religious hatred, including anti-Semitism, any support for extremism or terrorism, if they're not a British citizen, they should have their visa revoked and they should be kicked out.
Are the police doing their job? You say there should be a zero-tolerance approach. Clearly that zero-tolerance approach isn't happening. What more should they do? Should they be given more power, or should they simply use the powers they already have?
Well, I think where people incite religious or racial hatred, that's against the law already, and those people should always be arrested and prosecuted. There were some incidents during some of the protests in central London where people engaged in those protests were, for example, calling for jihad, which in my view is a call for violence, and they weren't arrested. I disagreed with the Metropolitan Police, and I said that to the Commissioner at the time. This is going back a couple of years. So I think the police do need to use their powers more robustly, and we also, I think, need to look at the law to make sure that extremism and any sort of incitement to violence is criminalised.